Ladies and gentlemen, you have reached Politomato. Tonight, folks, all I have to say is wow. President Trump left a path of destruction with his speech that he gave in Davos, Switzerland to the WEF World Economic Forum. And I'm going to be honest, I've never heard so many brags in my life. But in President Trump's defense, when you get past his rough facade, New York street brawler attitude, when you boil down the entire conversation, the only thing you're left with is a bunch of salty truth. The entire world has been ripping off us Americans for years and years. He especially gave a beating to Gavin Newsom, and I've never seen a man so uncomfortable in my life. Wait until you see Gavin squirm and try to hide. So to get things warmed up here and to prove everything that I just told you, let's first take a look at a clip of Scott Bessent just verbally castrate Gavin Newsom.
Very ironic that, Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros. And the Davos is the perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry. And I'm sure the California people won't forget that. And I can tell my message to Governor Newsom is the Trump administration is coming to California. We are going to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse. And I was told he was asked to give a speech on his signature policies, but he's not speaking. Because what have his economic policies brought? Outward migration from California, a gigantic budget deficit, the largest homeless population in America, and the poor folks in the Palisades who had their homes burned down. He is here hobnobbing with the global elite while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. He is too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything.
And this is why Scott Bessent has become one of my favorite people ever in the political space. And everything he said here is 100% true. How did Newscum get elected again as governor? It just shows that Dems just are not that intelligent. Anyway, Bessent tore Newscum a new one, and at the end of his conversation, he actually said, "Is there anything else you'd like me to clear up about Gavin Newscum?" with a huge smile on his face. Now check out this next clip, which explains that Gavin Newscum went to the WF summit for one reason and one reason only, and that was to give a speech. I don't think that went as planned.
On X just moments ago, the governor's office writes, quote, under pressure from the White House and State Department, USA House, which is a church acting as the official U.S. pavilion, is now denying entry to Gavin Newsom to speak with media after Fortune invited him to speak, end quote. Now, remember, the governor was invited to speak at an event at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. President Trump went there and spoke earlier this morning. In an interview with CNN, Governor Newsom called Trump's speech, quote, remarkably insignificant. Now here at KCRA 3, we are working to still gather more information about why the governor may have been blocked from speaking.
So, yeah, Gavin's trip to Davos definitely didn't go as planned. He got humiliated on the world stage. We know that his speech would have been nothing but a bunch of lies anyway. But the big question is, what is Gavin even doing at the summit? Well, it seems that he's literally there for one sole purpose of negotiating with the Europeans over Greenland, like actually giving the Europeans advice on how to negotiate against Donald Trump over Greenland. I mean, Greenland is so strategically important to the United States, and here we have this idiot negotiating against us. Of course, this is totally not American first, but what's new? And this next video clip is going to prove exactly that.
Do you have a message for Europeans who are concerned about the messages from the White House around Greenland this week?
Yeah, it's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. I've seen this in the United States, the supine Congress playing both sides. Saying one thing on a text or a tweet and another publibly.
Should you respond with tariffs?
It's time to stand tall and strong.
Does that mean responding with
Time to
tariffs?
stand united. You make that determination. I don't make that determination.
But when you say standing tall, what do you mean?
Just I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes that are being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look on the world stage. I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing.
So what should Europe be doing?
You should decide. The Europeans should decide for themselves what to do. But one thing they can't do is what they've been doing, and they've been playing. This guy is playing folks for fools, and it's embarrassing.
Europeans think this is diplomacy, and this will ultimately
this is
work.
Diplomacy with Donald Trump. He's a T-Rex. You mate with him, or he devours you. One or the other.
And Europe's being
people
devoured?
need to stand. No, the Europeans could be if they continue down this path and process. They need to stand tall, stand firm, stand united.
So just as I said, this conversation proves that Gavin Newscum does not care about putting American first. And as Donald Trump said in his speech, we saved Greenland for Denmark during World War II, and then we gave it back to them. So if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have it anyway, and we'd all be speaking German or Japanese. But yeah, the nerve of Newscum to go against Trump and Americans on this. If we can get our hands on Greenland, we need to. Not just for the military strategic value, but also for the mineral value of Greenland. The truth is, like everything else, if we don't get our hands on it, the Chinese will, and Russia is second in line. But let's move on to this next clip where you'll see that Trump actually is very kind to Newscum.
We're going to help the people in California. We want to have no crime. I know Gavin was here. I used to get along so great with Gavin when I was president. Gavin's a good guy. And we're going to, if you needed it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd love to see. We did help them a lot in Los Angeles, a lot with the early in my term when they had some problems. But we would love to do it. I would say this, if I were a Democrat governor or whatever, I would call up Trump. I'd say, come on in, make us look good. Because we're cutting crime down to nothing. And we're taking people out, career criminals, who are only going to do bad things, and we're bringing them back to their countries. But where we've done it, it's been amazing. And we have a capacity to do it at much greater levels. We're cutting illegal aliens off welfare and other government benefits, and I've directed that starting immediately, there will be no more payments to sanctuary cities because they are really just sanctuaries for criminals. They're really protecting criminals, and those are the ones we have to get out of the country. Murderers, drug dealers, the mentally insane. They emptied their mental institutions into the United States. And despite that, we have the lowest crime numbers that we've ever had in the history of the country. Just came out. But equally importantly, we're cracking down on more than $19 billion in fraud.
Really incredible how Donald Trump said so many nice things about Newscum and at the exact same time told him that he's going to crack down on California for more than $19 billion in fraud. Now that's how you do it, folks. Smile at them and tell them that you're going to put them in jail at the exact same time. But seriously, have you ever seen somebody so uncomfortable in your life? I mean, Newscum had no idea what to do with himself. And then at the end, in case you missed it, maybe his bodyguard stood in front of Newscum as if to block him. Now, it wouldn't be fair if we only heard one side of the story. So in this next clip, let's listen to Gavin Newsom's response to President Trump.
I'm more worried about the future of NATO, unless I'm worried about Greenland in this respect. I'm not worried about an invasion of Greenland. I'm worried about erosion in NATO and our relationship to NATO. And Trump seems unaware that the United States provides about a sixth of the annual common budget in NATO. I quite literally don't think he's aware of that. So there's some education that may need to be put in there. But no, that was a remarkable speech for its unremarkableness.
Governor Newsom, you called that a remarkable speech. You were obviously named by President Trump during that speech.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to what he had to say about you?
None. I think he said something very different last night. I didn't hear new scum. I heard new green scam. But I mean, come on, it was remarkably boring. It was remarkably insignificant. He was never going to invade Greenland. It was never real. So that was always a fade. And so he says, well, we should negotiate. Well, everybody here has been willing to negotiate for a year. So it had fire and fury, signified absolutely nothing. Even by Trump's standards, I was rather curious. And there was boorish parts of it, but those were not even that consequential, including name-checking people he likes, people he didn't like. So, honestly, I was a little disappointed. It was a little nonplussed.
Well, folks, we learned one thing and one thing only from Newscum's rebuttal. He doesn't know a damn thing about Greenland and geopolitics. It's obvious. He has no business being in Davos, and he has no business commenting on geopolitics, let alone Greenland. His objective in going to Davos is to undermine President Trump and also to make a name for himself, since we're pretty sure he's going to be running for president. But enough on that clip. Let's go to the next one and hear from the press room about his speech being canceled.
News just into the KCRA3 newsroom. Governor Newsom's office says his speech at Davos has been canceled, and it happened at the last second. Again, all morning we've been telling you that he was there to speak. Now, in a statement posted on X just moments ago, the governor's office writes, quote, under pressure from the White House and State Department, USA House, which is a church acting as the official U.S. pavilion, is now denying entry to Gavin Newsom to speak with media after Fortune invited him to speak, end quote. Now, remember, the governor was invited to speak at an event at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. President Trump went there and spoke earlier this morning. In an interview with CNN, Governor Newsom called Trump's speech, quote, remarkably insignificant. Now, here at KCRA3, we are working to still gather more information about why the governor may have been blocked from speaking. We're also seeking responses from both the governor's office and from the White House. Something we'll continue to follow for you throughout the day here at KCRA3 and give you updates both on air and on.
So keep in mind that the excuses you just heard were given by a Democratic news channel. There have been reports that Gavin's speech initially was going to be about world economics. Now maybe, just maybe, he decided it wasn't a good idea to give a speech on world economics, especially since the economics of his own home state of California are completely in the toilet due to his leadership. I mean, can you imagine the lies that he would have to tell the world to make it sound like the state of California is even in decent condition? Okay, that's enough on Newscum. How about for a treat, we watch a clip from President Trump and talk about how he has actually struck a deal for the security and mineral rights of Greenland.
Well, we have a concept of a deal. I think it's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them. And we're going to work together on something having to do with the Arctic as a whole, but also Greenland. And it has to do with the security, great security, strong security, and other things.
The market 600 points, getting back a lot of some of the nervousness we had in the last couple of days. The tariffs are off. Nothing happens on February 1st.
No, we took that off because it looks like we have pretty much a concept of a deal.
A deal of ownership, a deal...
Well, it's a little bit complex, but we'll explain it down the line. But the Secretary General of NATO and I and some other people were talking, and it's the kind of a deal that I wanted to be able to make.
Where does Denmark, did they weigh in on what they want, what they would agree to?
Well, I assume they did because he very much represents, he's a strong leader. Mark, you know Mark Rutte. And he, I assume he's been speaking to them. He's been speaking to all of them.
Are mineral rights involved? Is ownership involved? Did the Golden Dome sway people?
I don't want to say yet, but...
The Golden Dome was very compelling today when you talked about that.
Yeah, the Golden Dome, and they're going to be involved in the Golden Dome. And they're going to be involved in mineral rights, and so are we.
It's not specific enough to know at this point how long this lasts, whether it's...
Forever.
Forever.
It'll be forever.
For Greenland at this point.
Yeah. Forever.
That's staggering.
It's better than a 99-year.
This is what, 2 hours after.
It's better than the Obama deal with the famous Iran nuclear deal with a 9-year deal. No, this is forever. This is a long term.
Great job, President Trump. What a way to get things done. That's how you make a deal. Trump pushed for all of Greenland. He made them think that he wanted all of Greenland. He was told by Denmark, you can't have it all, but we'll give you a piece. And that's all President Trump wanted in the first place. Deal done. This is how easy negotiations can go if you know what you're doing. And man, am I glad we have a businessman like President Trump making deals for our country to put America first. But everyone, that's going to be a wrap for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching Gavin Newscum make a complete jackass out of himself as usual. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment. I would really love to hear what you all think. I thank you all very much for your time. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and wherever you are, keep smiling.